week's episode of Assassination Classroom. The students of Class 3E's assassination skills are finally put to the test in this week's hilariously action-packed episode of the series. Karma was definitely one of the big stars of this week's episode and was poised to be my favorite thing about this week's episode. But I have to say, my favorite scene is when they dressed up Nagisa like a chick and they ended up going into this nightclub, and there's this one scene where they get accosted by this group of goons as they're trying to sneak through and try and make their way to this other side, open the door for all their friends, and they run into this one guy, and then there's that one female student by the name of Hinata who does this amazing gymnastic kick to the face and completely knocks this guy out. Not to mention there's another great scene where Terasaka and his friends take out these two guards with these freaking tasers, and they get him right in the neck. It's really unapologetic and ridiculous, as is the rest of this episode. So let's just talk about some of the highlights. The battle that Karma has with this guy by the name of Grip is really awesome. Definitely one of the better action scenes that we've seen from the series, which had some really great choreography. As this guy's name would imply, Grip, he literally tries to attack people by constantly just grabbing the air and trying to grab anything he can and just crush it between his disgustingly powerful hands. But Karma is ready for anything he's about to dish out, and Karma, being the guy who thinks ahead, a few steps ahead, actually planned on this guy actually doing this continuously so that he could trick him with one of these smoke bombs that he actually took from Smog. This is a really great build-up scene, because at first it looks like Karma's actually been hit by the smoke, but he was holding his breath the entire time when he was captured by Grip. This gave him the perfect opportunity to stop him with the poisonous gas. And this leads to what is quite possibly one of the most disturbing and funny scenes of the episode, because all of the students tie this guy up with duct tape, and then Karma uses hot mustard and chilies and wasabi, and he just sticks it all up in this guy's nose. And he actually like forces his nose open with this weird head apparatus, just again showing that Karma is kind of a sadistic bully, but he's pretty damn funny at the same time. And then it leads, of course, to the scene where Nagisa is dressed up like a chick. This is, of course, just playing on the fact that he himself looks very effeminate. And it's really funny because even though they were sort of like bringing Nagisa with them because they thought they might need the help from a male, they don't need his help whatsoever. In fact, when they walk in, they actually use him to sort of like guard them from the other people who are in the nightclub. There's this one guy who is there because of daddy's money, and he's just completely down on his luck, and he's trying to hit on every single girl he can find. And of course, he runs into Nagisa, and he actually ends up learning a lesson from the group, and he decides to give up his whole life of drugs and partying, and maybe we'll see him again, maybe not. Maybe he's actually related to who's the big boss of this arc. That's actually my theory, because we actually haven't seen who's actually in charge of this entire big event. He's been shrouded in shadow the entire time, and when this guy was talking about his dad, he kind of fitted the whole description of this big guy. We didn't get to see his face, so maybe that's going to be him, and that's going to be one hell of a twist if that's true. But that scene where Hinata kicks that guy in the face and actually gets one of the other guards to come over and get rid of the body, that scene was so funny and unexpected. It was just definitely awesome. And then, of course, there's that final scene at the end where Kimura actually ends up tricking those guards by making fun of them. He ends up hauling ass, and then Terasaka and his friend body check these guys and use their tasers and get them right in the throat. It's really ridiculous and over the top, and I love the fact that Terasaka actually got the money for these tasers because of the dough that he actually kept from Shiro. Even though he didn't fully end up working with that guy, he still decided to keep all of his money, and something about that is really funny. So they take out these two guards, and they happen to have two guns on them. That's when Koro-sensei decides that both Chiba and Hayami are actually going to be the ones who are going to use these guns because they happen to be the best in terms of skills with them. Although Koro-sensei says you can't use these to kill someone. Try to use them without leaving a scratch whatsoever. And that means obviously they're probably going to use their precision to like shoot something which is going to set off like this like weird mousetrap effect, and it's going to end up like hurting this guy. And the guy they're going up against now is that one crazy dude who's just completely obsessed with the taste of guns. He constantly puts his gun barrel into his mouth and licks it like a damn lollipop. This guy's creepy. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Assassination Classroom? This one was really good because I thought it was just going to be a very heavy Karma-centric episode, but little by little we get to see the skills of all these individual students. And despite the fact that we don't know a lot about them, they're all still really entertaining and have their own funny personalities. I'm still waiting for the big moment with that one character of Kaede Kayano, because she seems like she's the main female lead of the series, and she basically just gets a one-off joke in this week's episode where we learn yet again that she seems to have this like weird obsession with not liking girls with big boobs. I don't know, it's just ridiculous. Overall, though, this week's episode was much more intense than last week's episode. It seems like the stakes are getting higher the closer they get to the top of this hotel. And I really love the animation in this week's episode. You know, as much as I want to say that Assassination Classroom is like a big action series, it's really not. It's really about the relationship between the students and the teacher, and of course the mystery behind the teacher. But this week's episode had some good action. The opening scenes with Grip and Karma fighting were great and very tension-filled. Karma himself was just awesome. He's such a cool character. You can't just not like Karma. And then, of course, it just drowned it out with humor at the end when you got to see Nagisa in that outfit, which is just so funny. And even Karma decided to keep a picture of it. And it's weird. Like, Nagisa looks exactly like a chick. It's very strange. And, you know, still, I'm surprised again, like, 20 episodes into the series, we still don't even have a lot of backstory for his character, and he sort of seems like the default main character of the series, mostly because he's been in a lot of the main stories and he is focused a lot of in the intro. But still, I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the next coming episodes, because now that these two characters of Chiba and Ayami have guns, I really can't wait to see what they're going to do with those, if they're going to use them in a cool way, or if they're just going to get really dark, walk up to this guy and just shoot him in the knees. I really don't think it's going to go that way, but I think it would be really ridiculous and funny. I'm still waiting for that one moment when things are going to get dark, and I really think it's going to be because of this character who continuously puts the gun in his mouth. This guy is so creepy and disturbing, and just his eyes are always like crisscrossed and looking all over the place like a chameleon. He's a very disturbing looking character, and I think that's awesome. On the technical side of things, animation, artwork, looked really good this week. Pretty typical from what you've seen from the rest of Assassination Classroom, but everything looked really nice, clean, and consistent. Really great music, lots of funny moments, tons of action. This was a pretty solid episode of Assassination Classroom, which you should definitely check out if you're a fan of the series. It's building up quite nicely to the finale of the first season. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Ass Class fans. It was a pretty good episode. So I liked this one a lot. But what about you guys? Did you watch this week's episode of Assassination Classroom? Please tell me your favorite moments in the comment section below. Do you have a favorite student from Class 3E? What do you want to see from the rest of the first season of Assassination Classroom? Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it and share it with all of your friends. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. You should also check out our brand new podcast show, and you can follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.